بندر کنگ میراث ماندگار سالهای دور، دستنج دریانوردان بیباک، سوار بر موجهای سهمگین دریاهای بزرگ، تاریخی نگاشتن سراسر مهر، پر از زندگی و عشق که اکنون زیبایش را در جای جای این سرزمین زیبا شاهدیم. میهمانان عالی قدر، دوستان بهتر از جان، کنگ بزرگوارانه قدمهای مهربانتان را ارج می‌نهد و بر دستهایتان بوسه می‌زند. به میراث 1000 ساله بشریت خوش آمدید.
خدمت جناب آقای دکتر طالبیان، معاون محترم میراث فرهنگی سازمان میراث فرهنگی صنایع دستی و گردشگری کشور و همینطور سرکار خانم لاروش، رئیس دفتر منطقه‌ای یونسکو، همه عزیزانی که زحمت کشیدن و همیاری کردن ما رو برای برپایی این نشست و این ورکشاپ آموزشی. اجازه میخوام از جناب آقای طالبیان که از بندر کنگ خدمت مهمانان عزیز بگم. بندر کنگ یکی از بنادر تاریخی و باستانی خلیج فارس هستش که ریشه در ایران قبل از اسلام داره. آثار تاریخی این شهر ما رو میبره به صدها سال پیش، به شهری که 4 بار بر خرابه‌های قدیمیش از نو بنا شده. تاریخ مکتوب این شهر بیش از 1800 سال هستش. جمعیت فعلی این شهر 18000 نفر. در این شهر در 3 دوره آباد و پر رونق بوده: عصر سلاجقه ایران، عهد اتابکان فارس و دوره صفویان. بندر کنگ بندر دریانوردی هستش و همگان این شهر رو به واسطه کار دریا و دریانوردی و صیادی میشناسند. تقاضای ما مردم این شهر اینه که از سرکار خانم لاروش، رئیس محترم دفتر منطقه‌ای یونسکو و همینطور جناب آقای دکتر طالبیان که این بافت رو در فهرست ثبت جهانی انشالله قرار بدن و دوستان در میراث و یونسکو بحث مطالعات انشالله شروع بشه که این بافت ارزشمند تاریخی به ثبت برسه.
I would like to start by expressing my appreciation to the mayor and the city of Kongport for hosting us here in this beautiful town. And I would also like to thank ICHTO, the Iranian Cultural Heritage, Handicrafts and Tourism Organization, and in particular Dr. Talibian, for their continuous cooperation and for all of their efforts in organizing this workshop. During this workshop, we will be focusing on UNESCO's 2001 Convention on the Protection of Underwater Cultural Heritage, which Iran has ratified in the year 2009. This convention is very important, but unfortunately there's still limited awareness amongst the countries in this region. And we just heard about the historical importance of this region and the port cities here, and the importance of the maritime trade routes that pass through here. And so therefore we suppose that there must be thousands of shipwrecks here in the Persian Gulf. And those shipwrecks provide us with valuable opportunities, not just for research, but also for sustainable development and tourism. And therefore, during the coming 3 days, we will focus on the 2001 Convention, and we'll try to clarify what underwater cultural heritage actually is, what maritime archaeologists do, and how to preserve underwater cultural heritage. And we've brought in 3 renowned experts who will be facilitating this training course. We have Ms. Atina Trakaras, Mr. John Cooper, and Mr. Matthew Harpster, who are here with us. Now, here in Iran, there's already a very strong expertise and knowledge about the preservation of cultural heritage sites on land. And Dr. Talibian personally is very passionate about that. But I am personally very pleased that they have now also taken this focus to look at underwater cultural heritage. And I hope that Iran will be able to play a leading role in this regard in the region, and that we will also be able to foster cooperation with other countries in the Gulf region to preserve this important heritage. UNESCO intends to organize a regional meeting next year on underwater cultural heritage for all of the Gulf countries to discuss how the countries can work together to preserve this important heritage for all humanity and to make it known to tourists and to local populations. So in closing, please allow me to wish you all a very fruitful training, and I hope you will all have a wonderful time here in Concord. Thank you very much.
میراث باستانشناسی زیر آب اینجا چه؟
هر چیزی شما ببینید چیزش مستقیم به دریاست، یعنی 80% چیزهایی به دریا و دریانوردی از آن شما بکنید. بفرمایید آقای اقتداری. یعنی یک اتاق ناخدایی چنین چیزهایی داشته، اون کفششه، کفششه، اون پیراهنشه با چیزش.
15 kinds of these kind of ships, boats that they used to build it here. And they've got the pictures.
هر عروسی یه جفت از اینا بهش میدادن که تو پاشون میکردن.
عروسی و آداب و رسوم مردم بندر کنگ از هند، آفریقا و عربی و ایرانی.
فرا بشینید. این هجله در منزل عروس، یعنی پدر عروس بسته میشه ها با سرویس بهداشتیشون. تا 7 شبانه روز هم اینا بیرون نرفته بودن زمان قدیم. حالا 3 شب بیشتر
یعنی وقتی ازدواج می‌کنن 7 شبانه روز میموندن.
For 7 days, the bride and the groom don't go out of this.
و شده بارها که داماد میمونده خونه عروس تا زمانی که مثلا خونه چیزی برای خودش
تخمه براش می‌خریدن.
شما بیشتر اوقاتمون زمان قدیم 8 ماهمون اونجا بودیم. 8 ماه تو زنجبار، دارالسلام، کینیا بودیم. 4 ماه اینجا بودیم.
ایران دارای هزاران کیلومتر در واقع سواحل آبی تو خلیج فارس و دریای عمان و سواحل دریایی مازندران و البته خلیج فارس همواره در واقع محل تلاقی فرهنگ‌های ملل مختلف و محل عبور کاروان تجاری دنیای باستان بوده. به جز این در واقع خب ما تقریبا بخشی از شهرهای باستانیمون مثل سیراف در همین در واقع استان، در همین منطقه و در واقع محوطه‌های بسیار مهمی هست که ما بخش عمده ایش در واقع الان در زیر دریا قرار دارن. بسیاری از آثاری که از ایران خارج شده، آثاری از تخت جمشید، از شوش و غیره، مرتب میگن در کشتی‌هایی بودن که اینا غرق شدن و از این آثار در واقع در موزه‌های دنیا خبری نیست و از سرنوشت اینا در زیر دریاها ما خبری نداریم. جاده‌های مهمی وجود داره، از جمله جاده ابریشم، به ویژه مسیر دریاییش که نشون میده که این فعالیت‌ها در گذشته چقدر مهم بوده و چه و به هر حال داستان‌های مختلفی از تجار مختلف به ویژه جنوب ایران هست که چه کالاهایی را به کدوم کشورها میرسوندن و چه کالایی از کدوم کشورها به ایران در واقع حمل میکردن. بنابراین ما مواجه هستیم با یک جریان وسیعی از موضوعات تاریخی و موضوعات باستانشناسی که خیلی خیلی مهمه برای اینکه مطالعه باید بکنیم و از این جهته که این کارگاه میتونه خیلی مهم باشه.
ما در 2 دهه اخیر گام‌های نخست رو برای باستانشناسی زیر آب انجام دادیم، ولی فاصله داریم با چشم انداز و چشم داشتی که داریم و مطمئناً این اتفاقی که با همت و با پیگیری جناب آقای دکتر طالبیان و پشتیبانی شهردار و فرمانداری و جناب آقای مهندس سیاهی اتفاق افتاده میتونه گام نخستی برای این اتفاق بیفته که ما بتونیم این به طور جدی به مبحث باستانشناسی زیر آب و حفاظت اون بپردازیم. مدارک تاریخی و باستانشناسی بسیاری مثل تابلت هایی که در فورتیفیکیشن در باروی تخت جمشید و آثاری که در کاوش هایی که در سیراف و مناطق دیگه انجام شده و اطلاعات تاریخی از سفر داریوش و کتیبه‌ای که در این مورد وجود داره و گذر نئارکوس و اسکندر از این دریا و ارتباط دریایی که از دوره ایلام و دوران تاریخی و دوران اسلامی با سراسر تمدن بسیار بسیار ارزشمند جهانی از چین تا هند و اقیانوسیه و سواحل بسیار دوردست و تا افریقا وجود داشته رو ما میتونیم در اسناد پیگیری کنیم.
I'd like to introduce myself very briefly. I'm Dr. Athena Chakadas. I am an associate professor at the University of Southern Denmark Maritime Archaeology program. And my research interests are coastal geomorphology, so looking at how things change, as what you mentioned, also not just the sea, but also relationships on land, directly related to ports and harbors. And also interest is underwater cultural heritage management and training. I've been involved with UNESCO for about 5 years now in that. And also doing a lot of ethno-archaeology, so a lot of shipbuilding, particularly in this region, is very interesting, as well as fishing and sailing. And also, as part of the University of Southern Denmark, I'm also a commercial dive instructor, so I do diver training as well for the future, hopefully practicals if necessary. But my background also is, previously I worked in commercial archaeology, maritime archaeology for Denmark, where I'm based. So this is us diving in the middle of Copenhagen in a very cold January. But in Denmark there's a very good system of when there's going to be development, this is going to be a bridge being built, the developers pay for maritime archaeology to be done. So just to also remind everyone that underwater cultural heritage also can take place on land, looking at past landscape change. These are some projects I've been involved in working in Egypt. Previously my colleague Dr. Harksher and I worked in Siraf in 2012. That's us on the right doing a survey in the port of Siraf. And also I've worked for the last 17 years in Morocco, developing underwater cultural heritage management, and just now the Institute of Maritime Archaeology and the Ministry of Culture of Morocco. And also I'm very interested in ports and harbors and have done extensive work in the Mediterranean. And this is just, the current projects I'm involved in are both capacity building projects, developing underwater cultural heritage on the left. Is us working with students from Montenegro in Serbia, developing methods in rec recording. And on the right is a new project we just started in Morocco, helping students in cultural heritage management, marine geology, and marine biology study the effects of pollution and development on cultural heritage underwater. Thank you. And just also some other notes about looking at past marine resource exploitation.
کنگ نازنینم لب دیر یا تنینم ستارقان عالم گوشواره و تگینم مردم خوب شهرم شیرین زبون و پاکن دلگیر و میهن پرست عاشق عطر و خاکن.
شهریور سال 94 ما این کار رو شروع کردیم با خانمای این شهر، مخصوصا بافت تاریخی خانمایی که ساکن این محلن. الان حدود 700 نفر عضو این خونه که کارا رو تولید میکنن.
Just a little bit about myself. My name is John Cooper. I'm a lecturer in Arabic Studies and Islamic Material Culture at the Institute of Arab and Islamic Studies at the University of Exeter. What that means is I teach Islamic archaeology, maritime archaeology, and also Arabic language. The Institute of Arab and Islamic Studies is an area studies department with specialisms across social sciences, the humanities, and languages, including Persian language. I'm also the chair of the Publications Committee of the Nautical Archaeology Society. So, like Athena, also I'm involved with the publication of journals, a different journal, the International Journal of Nautical Archaeology, and also occasional monographs on issues of maritime archaeology. I'll just give a little tour through some of the research that I've been involved in. When I first went to the University of Exeter, I worked on a project called the Maris Project, where we worked in the countries you see here, Yemen, Djibouti, Eritrea, and Saudi Arabia, actually, looking at maritime ethnography, essentially looking at boat building traditions, boat typologies, how people built boats, how they used them, and recording them in detail, as you can see in the image there in the bottom right-hand corner. In Saudi Arabia, I worked in the Farasan Islands in the southern Red Sea, where one of the things we did, I'm showing here, we worked with some of the last pearl divers in the Red Sea, and I think anywhere in the Arabian Peninsula, to follow them and to understand their techniques and their methods, and some of the images you can see on the screen there. I've also been involved in some attempts to use high technology methods such as 3D laser scanning to record traditional boats. This is some work I did for the Qatar Museums organization in 2013. This is using a 3D laser scanner to record boats and make 3D laser scan 3D models, which are to be used in the forthcoming National Museum. And finally, a little bit of underwater archaeology in the region. This was a project with the University of Alexandria and the University of Southampton in Egypt, which was surveying and recording some fairly well-known wrecks, actually, which had never been formally recorded in the Egyptian Red Sea waters. Thank you very much. I'll now hand over to my colleague.
خیلی ممنون، تشکر می‌کنم.
All right, thank you very much for this. My name is Matthew Harpster. I received my PhD in 2005 from Texas A&M University, and I am presently an honorary research fellow at the University of Birmingham in England, and I'm also a senior visiting fellow in residence at the Research Center for Anatolian Civilizations in Istanbul, Turkey, where I live as well. My research interests include the construction of ships both from antiquity and during the modern era. And I'm also particularly interested in the history and the theory of the discipline of maritime archaeology, how it has changed over time, how we practice the discipline in different ways now than we did, say, 50 years ago. My current project, which you can see on the top right, is a coastal survey that we are conducting in Italy, where we are investigating the maritime landscape of the coastline. which means we are studying how people inhabit that space and then how that inhabitation changes over time in relation to the sea itself. And to finish up, just one more thing I'd like to say, that like my colleagues, we are, all three of us, very excited by the potential and the opportunity that we see here, because we have all been involved in various other projects attempting to build knowledge and capacity in communities. And we know that there's a big difference between simply having the rules and regulations and having the interest and the enthusiasm. And what we all see here is a great deal of interest and enthusiasm, which is evident by all of the people that are here, the Mayor of Kung, Dr. Televiani. So again, for all three of us, we are very grateful for the opportunity and we are looking forward to the future.
Just we support them 50% for some cost about restoration.
سطحشو می‌بینی آقای دکتر چقدر زیبا کار شده.
This is an interpretation from, there is a website about the Sertilamani, and this is a little interpretation based on the distribution of the materials, which gave an interpretation of what might have happened on that day. Yeah. When the ship reached a protected anchorage within the harbour, we saw the harbour earlier, there down on the right-hand side. Yeah. When the ship reached a protected anchorage within the harbour, close to the shore, the crew cast an anchor. But before they could cast a second anchor, a powerful gust of wind caused the vessel to swing around on her only anchor towards the shore. The anchor shank broke, the ship was driven onto the rocks, wrecked, and came to rest at a depth of about 33 meters. Okay, so how have they come across, how have they come about this interpretation? This is a question we'll talk about later on today, by interpreting the relative location of the artifacts on the seabed. That's not so much about significance, but it is something that we'll come back to later on today. So I thought that just looking at some of the materials on it and why it's a significant wreck, it has quite a mixed set of artifacts related to it. And this goes back to our discussion yesterday about the nationality of a wreck, the origin of a wreck. This is a very, very mixed vessel, so it gives the idea of a very cosmopolitan trade network existing in the Eastern Mediterranean. I think now, just reflecting back, we've had quite a detailed tour there of the Sertilamani wreck. If we're assessing the significance of that wreck, then I think, as I've been talking, I've gone through and I've pointed out so many reasons why we can consider this wreck important. Everybody at the end to think, as I said earlier, about sites in Iran. I mean, I use these other sites as examples, but thinking about Iranian sites that people brought up yesterday and presented to us. You know, let's think about a particular site. What is the potential of that site to yield new and important information about the past? Thinking about a site that you know. It's very difficult. It's always, from my perspective, from Athena's perspective, from your perspective, personally, I do not believe in a neutral archaeology. But I think you're making a more particular point, which is the point about disputes and international disputes. and archaeology unfortunately has a long and not always very happy history of being involved in territorial disputes. I think we see this quite clearly, for example, at the moment.
It took 11 years to excavate the shipwreck. And it was 11 years, I think, of diving for about 4 months of the year. And this also had to do with the depth of the site. It was very deep. It was over 30 meters. But there was a lot of material to be brought up, even though the divers could not stay down very long. But 11 years of excavation, that's quite a lot. And when they finished the excavation of Uluburun in 1993, they had a lot of wonderful artifacts, but these artifacts needed conservation. So in 1993, they began conserving the artifacts, and they're still not finished today. That's partially why the shipwreck has never been fully published, is because they still have some objects in conservation. So money is still being spent to conserve these objects and to protect them, for example, to have them the appropriate environment in a museum, but not create a situation that we have a shipwreck that if we excavate it and spend the time and money doing that, it will ultimately probably be destroyed. So we visited the shipwreck every year. What we would do every season is we would very simply take sandbags, fill them with sand, and we would put it over the shipwreck, and we would put sand and rocks over that. And this is a very cost-effective method. It doesn't cost very much to get the bags. We got them from the local flour mill, gave us their bags, and we just simply filled them with sand. It just takes human effort. And in this way, the wreck, every year we went back and checked, it was actually very, very stable. So this is a very good way and very simple way to protect small sites. And this is also a method that's been used at Baiai in the Bay of Naples. For example, this is a very nice mosaic floor, stone mosaic floor in the bottom right. It's been stabilized, and after they stabilized it, they used sandbags and sand to cover those areas that were considered very fragile. And they go back and they monitor this every year to see how stable it is. Another option for burial is using what's called artificial seagrass. And this is something that's been tested in different parts of the world. And one of the books that discusses it quite well is this manual, SASMAT manual, best practices for locating, surveying, assessing, monitoring, and preserving underwater archaeological sites. It's available online, and I also have copies. The seagrass is artificial plastic, and it's been developed by a company that normally works, for example, near pipelines or oil fields, because they have a problem when they lay a pipeline down. Just like if you find a shipwreck, the current patterns change. So if there's sediment, loose sediment around a pipeline, very often you get the scour pattern where a big hole will be created before the pipeline, and a deposition of sediment will happen behind it.
About 100 years ago, 200 years ago, the system of the rooms here, all rooms have toilet and bathroom.
اسناد دریانوردی بسیار قدیمی، نقشه‌هایی که تقریبا 700 سال قدمتشه اینجاست. مال پدر بزرگشون بوده. اصلا این نقشه‌های دریانوردیه. تاریخش 1800 خورده ایه.
پایگاه جانی دانش سنتی له‌سازی خلیج فارس و موزه دریانوردی.
خوشحالم که در جمع شما هستم. البته دوست داشتم هر 3 روز اینجا باشم و مثل بقیه از درس‌هایی که ارائه میشه استفاده بکنم. متأسفانه بختیارم نبود. کنگ ظرفیت‌های بسیار بزرگی داره. حتما مستحضر هستید که دانش دریانوردی و لنگسازی در خلیج فارس که مرکز عمده و اصلی اون کنگ هست در فهرست میراث فرهنگی ناملموس کنوانسیون 2003 ثبت شده. حتما بافت تاریخی کنگ و منظر فرهنگی اون که حتما بازدیدی از اونجا داشتید این همین ظرفیت و قابلیت رو داره که در کنوانسیون 1972 یعنی میراث تاریخی فرهنگی جهانی به ثبت برسه. البته خب حتما برای کنوانسیون پاسداری از میراث زیر آب هم ظرفیت‌ها هست. من چون تخصص ندارم ورود به این موضوع پیدا نمی‌کنم. قطعا ما این در واقع نقطه شروع رو نقطه ختم به حساب نمیاریم و این روند رو ادامه خواهیم داد و حتما از تجارب جاهای دیگه هم استفاده خواهیم کرد.
In terms of the 3-day workshop itself, this has been a tremendous opportunity for us to meet new colleagues, to share ideas, to learn, to make, to learn about the known cultural, underwater cultural heritage of Iran, to hear about the very, very exciting work which has already been conducted here, and to know that there are people with such commitment and with such interest and such professionalism is very, very exciting for us. We do hope that this is the start. We can see that this is the start of a very exciting period in Iran. It's a particular privilege for us to come to Iran at a time when we can meet the pioneers of the discipline in the country. That is a very, very rare opportunity, and we look forward to future occasions to participate, to meet and to share knowledge and experiences with colleagues who are very rapidly becoming friends.
من یک بار دیگه از همه عزیزانی که در این 3 روز به هر حال زحمت کشیدن، از فرماندار محترم، اعضای محترم شورای تأمین، نیروهای به هر حال خدماتی، در دوستان خودم در شهرداری که حسابی من این چند روز به همه عزیزان زحمت دادم، جناب آقای مهندس زلیحی، معاون محترم فرماندار، همه عزیزان، ناخدا علی حمود که واقعا همیشه ما به این عزیز زحمت میدیم، همه عزیزانی که زحمت کشیدن و کمک کردن که ما به هر حال روسفید بشیم در این کارگاه تخصصی باستانشناسی زیر آب. من تشکر و قدردانی دارم.
دست